I mean, you don't have to be quiet. It says your mic will be muted while the countdown is playing, so technically it is muted.
Oh, well, I don't really think it is. I feel like they can hear me.
They can't hear you. It's muted.
Are you positive?
It's telling me that the mic is muted while countdown is playing.
Okay. Right now. We're going to see this starting. Oh, wow.
All right. Welcome to the J and J podcast. This is Josh Lewis. Super excited to have you guys here tonight. This is episode number 12. You know, Jeff and I were texting back and forth. We're like, should we do a show? Should we not do a show? And then the news just broke, and that's what we're going to be covering today is that former President Trump was kicked off the Colorado ballot. And that is like breaking news. And I want to dive into that and see what that means for the rest of the country. But before we do that, what's going on, Jeff? How are you?
Well, I'm officially raising money for my presidential campaign today. If all is true that he may be off the ballot in Colorado and they're trying to get Vivek, you know, I don't like any of their clients. So Sean Pullen's vote might not go to waste, man. I don't think we're going to get to 2028. I said we're not going to get to 2024. Listen, I know that's all we want to talk about. There's a cyber attack looming. We might not even be able to do this show. That's been predicted out. We should probably talk about that catering in. I think there's a lot at play to keep Trump out of office, whether you like him or not. Listen, there's a lot of reasons not to like Trump. I'm with you if you don't, but I'm with you if you do. But I'm not for a government that's using political warfare for any. Oh, wow, this looks really cool. Any client. Wow.
I hear you 100%. Honestly, what I think is going to happen right now is I think this is just going to be the beginning of the domino effect. There has been so much that is going on with the Democrat Party trying to get rid of Trump. This is the beginning. And like before, I think was more of like the forward or the preface. Like if you're starting a book, right? And it's like how to get Trump out of office. Right now, what they did with all the lawsuits, some of the frivolous lawsuits, some of all the lawsuits that didn't even make any sense, the Stormy Daniels and everything like that. That was the forward. That was the preface. That was like chapter 1. This is now like we're getting in the meat potatoes. So I'm going to share my screen.
It's a marketing thing. I'll say this, and definitely I'm more on the leftist side, which has more heart with everything it is. I sympathize with all the politically charged people who feel a certain way about stuff. I actually get that. I've been victim to watching a lot of press before we started the show of being the reaction culture where all of a sudden I'd see something, you know, Israel, Hamas, and I'd react, you know, Black Lives Matter, I'd react, right? So I don't want to react in this thing, but I do want to be, my biggest thing for 2024 is to not get so much emotion, have more logic, because I don't have a lot of that sometimes.
Yeah, I hear you. And I know that's because you've been reading the book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely, because I've been reading that as well. And I've been thinking that. I want to talk about that maybe a little bit later. Actually, let me write that down because I do want to talk about that. All right, so let's get right into this first story. Donald Trump was banned from Colorado ballot in historic ruling by state's Supreme Court. This is an Associated Press story. So a divided Colorado, man, that is our whole entire nation right now. Colorado Supreme Court on Tuesday declared former President Donald Trump ineligible for the White House under the U.S. Constitution's insurrection clause and removed him from the state's presidential primary ballot. Setting up a likely showdown, the nation's highest court decided whether the frontrunner for the GOP nomination can remain in the race. The decision from a court whose justices were all appointed by Democratic governors marks the first time in history that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment has been used to disqualify a presidential candidate. A majority of the court holds that Trump is disqualified from holding the office of president under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, the court wrote in its 4-3 decision. Colorado's highest court overturned a ruling from a district court judge who found that Trump incited an insurrection for his role on January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol, but said he could not be barred from the ballot because it was unclear that the provision was intended to cover the presidency. The court stayed its decision until January 4th until the U.S. Supreme Court rules on the case. Colorado officials said the issue must be settled by January 5th, the deadline for the state to print its presidential primary ballots. We do not reach these conclusions lightly, wrote the court's majority. We are mindful of magnitude and the weight of the questions now before us. We are likewise mindful of our solemn duty to apply the law without fear or favor and without being swayed by public reaction to decisions that the law mandates we reach. Trump's attorneys have promised to appeal any disqualification immediately to the nation's highest court, which has the final say about constitutional matters. The Colorado Supreme Court issued a completely flawed decision tonight, and we will swiftly file an appeal to the United States Supreme Court and concurrent request for the stay of this deeply undemocratic decision, Trump campaign spokesperson Stephen Chang said in a statement Tuesday night. So, breaking down really what is going on with this to me seems, like I mentioned, the beginning. And my first initial reaction, and I want to ask you this, Jeff, what was your first initial reaction? Is Colorado, so let's say Trump's off the ballot in Colorado, and they only just take him off the ballot in Colorado. Is Colorado a blue state or is it a red state?
What do you mean? Does it normally swing blue or red?
Right. Yeah. Do you know? Because at first I was uncertain, so I didn't know.
My gut feeling is that it's red state.
So I kind of thought the same thing too. But
country, there's a lot of. Oh no, that's Utah. Utah would be red state. So it's a blue state then.
So we would think that, right? Or we would kind of think that. Now, this is what's very interesting to me.
How many electoral votes is Colorado? Could he still win it if Colorado is off the ballot in?
Good question. So this is very interesting to me. So let's see. Number of elections, 37. Voted Democrat 14 times. Voted Republican 22. Voted other once. Voted for winning candidates 26 times. Voted for losing candidates 11 times. Let's see. Does it say how many delegates it is? Well, we can find that out. But look, so last year, sorry, Wikipedia, I'm not donating. So last year, Joe Biden, the winner, they went to Joe Biden. The year prior was Donald Trump. Past two, Barack Obama. Past two, George W. Bush. Then Bill Clinton, George Bush, Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter. Man, they are one of those states which is, I would call a swing state. You don't know. You can't predict when they're going to run.
Florida is normally it's electing, Trump 100%.
Now, so that's a good question. Let me see how many.
So as you're looking that up, I will say this, man. What my biggest thought was, oh my goodness, if they do this, if they really got this done, how many other states are going to get this done? They got it done once. Who's getting paid to get it done,
Right. I might not be looking for the right thing.
Let's search on Google how many elected. I think it's like 6, but here's the thing. This makes me think that Trump's not going to run, dude. They're going to get him off the ballots. Like, that's really where Wealth on Instagram put out a thing of Trump off the ballots. It was a total clickbait thing. But they put it out there that he's off the ballots in 2024.
Yeah, so this is the beginning, I think. Dave Smith posted, "Here we go," with a link saying like this is
well, it still has to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will probably veto it, right? Because Trump appointed most of it.
I would think so, but this is kind of like
I see this honestly.
This is one of those things that is the beginning of what I believe to be like one of those things where it's like, if you're in a schoolyard and you see somebody pick a fight with somebody else, one guy picks a fight and the rest of his hooligans are around him. If one guy initially starts that fight, the hooligans are going to feel that same type of, hey, you know what? That's validation for us to make the next decision to go forward. So if Colorado does this, what's to stop another state from doing this and more states from doing this?
Right,
And,
exactly. And it was 4-3, though, you know?
well, so what? Yeah, it was. Well, still, I mean, it was almost split, but it was almost, it's still, majority says we can't let Trump run, which is why they kept saying Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, insurrection, 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 because they wanted to point to the 14th Amendment so they could get him off the ballot, which is just insanity to me. Like, think about it this way. This is the way I would think about it. Let's say, Jeff, you and I are playing. Remember when we used to play one-on-one football?
Yep.
I was just thinking about it. I was coming home and there were kids next door and they were playing one-on-one football. And I overheard them say, okay, you got one interception. I got one tackle. I got one touchdown. And I was like, man, I used to do that. So for those of you who don't know, Jeff and I used to do that when we used to grow up. We'd play one-on-one football. And what that looked like is I had the ball and then Jeff had the ball, but we would just be, I would take it and I'd throw it and try and throw it over Jeff and catch it, whatever it is. And we would do all of our whatever statistics that we had: touchdowns, interceptions, catches, blocks, fumbles, interceptions, whatever it was. Now imagine Jeff and I, you're playing that. We're playing one-on-one football. And I beat Jeff. I beat him 20-0. And then Jeff goes to bed at night and says, you know what? Let me figure out how many rules I can find to bend so I don't have to play Josh and I'm just declared the winner. Let's say you do that and then you beat me by disqualifying me. Yeah. Even though I just beat you. Is that you truly winning, or is that you just saying, I don't want to take losing, so I'm going to try and figure out every single way that I can disqualify you so I can win? I think this is what the Democrat strategy is to just get rid of him by any ways of disqualification, because they don't want to do that. They would rather disqualify him, because now it seems, who's going to be the next nominee? If Trump isn't, right? Let's say they get rid of him. Who's the next nominee?
Which is crazy. Vivek.
I mean, I would hope so.
But like, if you look at it, he's the next one like Trump. If Trump is really leading 70%, would you not think just mathematically all those votes would go to Vivek if Trump was disqualified? Because Vivek even said it's easier. If Trump's not in this, it's easier for me, you know?
Well, I would agree. But right now, the RNC they are not. So let's take a look at this right here. The RNC, they're not going after Vivek. So right now, this is by the Pew Research Center. So Trump is 52, DeSantis is 14, Haley's 11, Christie is 3. Everybody else is.
So Vivek's not even on there?
Correct.
That's crazy. He was at a Jake Paul fight.
I mean, so it's saying Vivek is pulling in at 3% and Christie is 1%. Okay, sorry. Ramaswamy's right here. It was above here. I missed it. So you got Trump 52%, DeSantis 14, Haley 11, Ramaswamy.
I didn't know how DeSantis does 14. Like, after seeing him, he doesn't get me excited. Haley, I could see she's bought and paid for it, so I could see that. But the fact that DeSantis is actually like, and he went from 24 to 14, he's trailing down. But like,
this is an interesting number. DeSantis, Haley, and Ramaswamy all have 10% based through ages 18 to 34.
Oh, wow. And what's Trump have?
Trump has 45%.
Yeah, dude. Trump has a big name. He has a brand. If he's allowed to run, he will win. If he's not, then we're going to have civil war. I mean, that's really where it's going to go to. I
mean, I think the challenge that we have right now is what happens next.
Let's say that Joe Biden actually got 83 or whatever million votes, and Trump got 72 million. Okay, he got the most out of people. That's a lot of people. you're going to have 72 people very upset. If 72 million people, if he doesn't run, you're going to have half of America, maybe not all of them, right? I don't know. And by the way, I think The Rock Johnson said it with Joe Rogan. He wasn't, nobody's been moving for Biden. I think that 82 million that they ballot stuffed and put in, they had to put in a whole bunch because he beat him by what, 10 million or something?
Votes?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Biden had 81 million votes, and I think Trump had 72, so about 9 million. I could be wrong about that. It's actually, let's check that.
Yeah, but I'm very quick to say that the election was not fair. Just didn't seem right. That's all I got to say. And dude, it doesn't seem right that January 5th we have paper ballots. Like the fact that we still have paper ballots and we're doing blockchain technology, we can vote American Idol and we're still doing paper ballots. That's just like, it's asking for us to, as a fail safe for it to be rigged again,
Right.
I don't even want to run, dude. Like imagine I ran and I poured in $3 billion and I ran for president and I don't even get a fair election. It's kind of like playing football against the Patriots when they were getting all the calls, or the Chiefs. Like, why even show up and play the game in practice if they're just going to call the refs for you to lose,
It's this is the crazy thing, and I think this is what.
Remember when football was like that? We used to watch the Patriots and they'd get every call.
Yeah, 100%. So this is where it's at. Pennsylvania's 20 electoral votes put Native's son Joe Biden above the 270 need to become president of the 46th president of the United States. So Biden with 306. Trump at 232, 74 million votes. Biden, 81 million votes. And yeah, so Colorado went blue last time. But honestly, with everything going on, Colorado is one of those flip states.
Yeah, I looked it up. It's 10 electoral votes. So let's say you flip that one. Let's say these are real accurate numbers. It flips to 10. Trump wins, right? Totally flips. Then he lost. What did he lose here?
So he lost by. He lost 232 to 306.
Then he's at 242, and you minus that again. Yeah, and then he needs Pennsylvania or something.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, what Trump would need right now is
look at the picture CNN uses for Trump. He's like looking down. It's almost like his mugshot photo, and they have Biden all smiling.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a horrible picture of Trump, but all right. So what this is,
dude. You know what? Here's my honest feeling. This is why I put future president in here. I just feel like we're not. I said before, I don't think we're gonna get the election, and if we do, it just makes me very worried that Trump actually might not be on the ballot, and it might, like, they're really doing everything. Like, I knew they were going to try and kill him with January 6th. I thought he was going to get off it all. Like, not get off it, but like they were going to like pin him on it. Like that's what they're trying to do is pin. The footage came out. It's not sticky enough,
Dude, this is a dangerous precedent, man. So what did Trump do? Like, listen, I am honestly not a Trump fan, right? So,
but this makes you more of a Trump fan because they're trying to kill, like they're trying to.
So is it and this is the problem that the
Don said the same thing. Remember, I don't like Trump at all, but man, the way they're doing this, right? Didn't Sean say something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are feeling that way. Whether they're actually
Tucker Carlson. Sorry, I'm cutting you off. Go ahead.
Whether they'll actually go out and vote for Trump is a different thing, right? I think we know people are like, man, this is messed up. But will they actually go out and vote for Trump? I think some will, because I think we're in a very emotional time right now. And I think people are more reacting emotionally as opposed to logically. But there's a challenge where I think it's not even going to matter. I think the way the Democrats are taking this is like they're playing unfair. And to say that is like, sounds like, oh, they're playing unfair. But legitimately, that's what's going on. So now the challenge is, what do the Republicans do? And I don't think the Republicans do much because the Republicans are cowards. They don't know how to fight back. And they're in bed with half the Democrat establishment anyway.
Haley, you know what I mean? And that they're all on that corrupt side,
Yeah, it's all about like, what can I get if you do this for me? And the funny thing is so I've been watching a lot of Suits lately. If you guys haven't watched Suits on Netflix, I highly recommend it. One thing I liked, I'm 7 seasons into it. It's not woke, which is nice. So having said that, one thing that they do in that show, it's all about lawyers, and they will cut a deal before they go to trial. That's the whole thing. I don't want to go to trial. Cut a deal before you go to trial. So we'll either do this or I'll see you in court. Cut a deal before you go to trial. And really what it is in the background, the attorneys, the lawyers are trying to find dirt on the opposing party so they could say, hey, they could slip a file across the desk and say, we have this on your client. Let's not go to trial, because if this goes to trial, you know what's going to happen. So let's cut a deal right now. And that's what happens a lot. I'm curious what type of deal or what type of deals are being cut in order for people to do this. Now, maybe there's none. Maybe I'm being hyperbolic, but maybe there is none. But for me, it seems like there are conversations that are happening under the radar that are pushing these type of things forward, where all of a sudden, the week of before Christmas, all of a sudden Colorado goes, thumbs down, dude. Nope, we're not letting Trump on the ballot.
Yeah, I was pausing not to do that. I know you're right. Listen, here's the thing. And I just got finished this morning watching Andrew Tate and George Janko's podcast, part 2. Very good. I suggest everybody listen to it. Part 1 was phenomenal. Part 2 was good. And there's a clip where Andrew Tate says, Donald Trump back in president, Alex Jones off, PBD, let's go to America. I think, Tristan, you saw it. I sent it to you, right?
I did, yes.
But I didn't see the thing, which was great because it seemed like it was going that way. If anybody else sees that clip who wants to be corrupt, they're like, nah, we're shutting this down. It felt like the good guys are winning. Alex Jones is back. There's freedom of speech. Elon bought Twitter, right? So they're not going to scam the election again with Hunter Biden's laptop they deleted. The one thing I'll say about this, when the girl at CNN town hall, and I don't know because I don't follow Trump on Twitter, right? But when she was on town hall and she was talking to Trump about, why did it take you so long to tell people to walk back, right? Remember? He was
right, yeah.
Pulled it out, and he said, I put it on here this time. And then he said it was deleted after for some reason. It's crazy. Now that you know that Twitter, it's been proven that they were in bed with the FBI. So they had this whole thing planned. So think about it. Trump's like, hey, stay peaceful, which would basically do the thing. They delete his tweet, agents in, they cause a whole rocket, which, by the way, that crazy guy with the horns, he was on the PBD podcast or whatever.
Who say that again? Who was?
The guy who looks like Braveheart with the horns at the January 6th thing.
Oh, I don't know if he was. I don't think he was.
He was on Adam's story.
Oh, interesting. Maybe. He wasn't today.
He wasn't on the Charlie Kirk one. I didn't watch the whole Charlie Kirk one. He didn't come in.
Maybe he was. No, I don't think so.
My whole point in saying that is, listen, if it wasn't for as soon as he won, they started doing Trump Russia, which even made me believe, wait, Trump is tight with Putin. Like, he is. Maybe he did, call it in for everything. Like, they made me even doubt that, right? And now it's been proven time and time again, the truth stands true over testing times, that they suppressed his laptop. And did you see that they're announcing Epstein's list supposedly again? I feel like that we do this every
I did see that. So one of the things that is very interesting is the ability that the news has it's called kill a story with a story. So for instance, if something is going to happen that you do not want a lot of attention on, you bring another story to the forefront. You find whatever you can that is going to be a little bit more dramatic, that is going to have a little bit more impact, so it will distract people away from what's actually going on. So Epstein's list is supposedly going to come out, which let's get into that a little bit. But Epstein's list is supposedly going to come out, but now this is happening. So what is going on? Like now everybody's attention is going to be diverged to this. And whatever's going on with Epstein's list, client list, and whatever's going to happen, it's going to be bottom 4 or 5. People aren't going to pay attention to it.
Or they're just going to delete the names off the list and put like Trump on and Alex Jones and put all these guys, and Elon Musk. Like, wouldn't you just do that? Release the list and put everybody else on? Like, dude, I don't think the list even matters. Like, I could care less about the Epstein list,
I mean, yes and no. I'll say this.
Dude, the fact that they're marketing like, we're going to launch the list. Like, just why do you just market? Why doesn't it just come out? You know what I mean?
So this is what I think. I think what's going to happen is, well, this is the reason why I think the list is important. The list is important because people from January 6th are in jail for years right now. And they didn't kill anybody, and they didn't sexually assault anybody, and nothing like bad like that happened. I'm not saying it wasn't like thumbs up for attacking the Capitol, but whoever the people are on the Epstein client list, it's safe to say at least half of them did something that was probably very immoral, whether it's having inappropriate relations with underage children, or it's just exploiting people who were of age, but it was in the incorrect way. There's a lot of people that are on that list, and they're not being held accountable. None of them are. And what it sounds like is this guy kept everything on purpose because he had dirt against people, and that's the way he could cut a deal with people. Hey, I need you to do this. No, I'm not doing that for you. Yeah, well, we have videotape of you doing this and this to those 12-year-old
videotape. Like, what if you don't know Jeffrey Epstein, and maybe you didn't know, maybe people know, but then everybody's like, oh, he's a billionaire, go to his island, right? Just so you think like Richard Branson Island. Everybody just goes through and like, haha, gotcha, came to island, there's all this creepy stuff on it, and you're like, F. Like, now you got to do this, this, and this. You know what I mean? Like, kind of in a way, like you think you're doing something, right?
Yeah, I think it's almost like it's one of those scenarios which you see in a movie, right? So it's like the guy gets invited to this house, and he's like, wow, this is crazy. And all of a sudden these girls show up at his door, and he's married, and he's like, oh my God, I shouldn't be doing this. But the drinks are flowing and whatever it is. And he winds up hooking up with the girls, and he wakes up the next morning. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Nobody better ever find out. Well, whatever it is. And then 6 months down the road, he's about to go run for Congress or whatever it is. And this guy comes up and says, I got this videotape on you. It's like, it's one of those type of things. And if that's what it feels like to me, do I have any proof of that? No, I don't have any proof, but that's what it feels like. Maybe I've been watching too many movies, but that's what it feels like.
Well, I bet you Andrew Tate feels in that movie too. He talks about it all the time, but he's got to be very careful.
This is the thing. It's over 170 people with Jeffrey Epstein links likely to be named in court docs set to be unsealed in coming weeks. So this is on.
Maxwell still alive?
Yeah, she's in prison.
Wow.
This is hashtag Epstein client list. A lot of this is for trapping kids unknown pedos that the law seems want to ignore. Somebody asked, where's the Epstein client list? So over 170 Jeffrey Epstein's high profile associates we named in court documents set to be unsealed in the first days of 2024. Year of chaos, man.
Yeah, I know, right? I just thought of that.
And then let's see what else we got here. President Donald Trump. So Colorado just ruled, this is the reaction to X right now, just ruled to remove president from the ballot. This is blatant election interference and a danger to our democracy. Republican nomination should be decided by Republican voters, not a biased state court. I stand with Donald Trump. American people want Donald Trump. This is somebody posting what the 14th Amendment says. This is a good
Yeah,
thing.
what does it say? I know, I was curious.
No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may by a vote of 2/3 of each house remove such disability. So from my understanding, that sounds like, hey, listen, if anybody is engaging in an insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid or comfort to any of the enemies thereof, then they shall not be able to run for those offices. But, however, Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove that disability and they could run again, is basically what they're saying. Now, here's the crazy thing about that is this is saying shall have engaged in insurrection or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. Now, I could be wrong here, but isn't everybody who was part of that insurrection, weren't they a part of America? Weren't they these people, American citizens who were frustrated, who were upset, who were like, we didn't think the election happened fairly. Let's go protest about it. Was it not? So now those people who have a right to protest now becomes these really murky waters. And if they have a right to protest, then they should protest. But how far can that protesting go? Can they destroy businesses? Can they cause $2 billion worth of damages? Is that okay? Or is it?
By the way, there was nothing. Here's the thing. I don't think the vote was good. I don't think Biden won. I do think it was and it's proven that the Hunter Biden laptop and certain things, that it wasn't that way. I'm not happy with the Black Lives Matter rallies. I'm not happy with the January 6th stuff. I don't even think the protest was the whole way. I don't think storming Capitol was good and everything. I don't think even you're baited and people open up the gate and let them in and all that. I don't think people should have done it. I'll say that. I don't think like people saying, oh, they have a right and everything. I get it. It's a bad look for the country in all ways. You know, I think there's other ways, and maybe there's not. What are other ways if the election's not fair? I guess, I mean, they could say that our whole thing is like, I don't think anybody like I guess the insurrection is basically saying that Trump was invading it, saying like, let's go and do it. That's what
right. And he was causing the whole thing to happen. Since he was the leader of it, then he should not be able to run for president again. Now, this brings up a good point, and I think I want to get into this a little bit more. Trump, as we know, is an emotional guy, right? He'll get very emotional. So I think a lot of what Trump has done, especially when it came to this whole January 6th thing, it was very emotionally driven. He was upset. He was frustrated. He was angry. He was pissed off. The whole world was against him, according to him. And he decided to say, no, I won the presidency and I'm going to fight against it. Now, the challenge with that is let's say all of that is true. Let's say 100% of that is true. Biden conspired. Votes were flipped. There was election suppression. There was election interference. All that's 100% true. Logically, how do you convince people of that? Because this is the challenge. I think what happened is, I think this is where Trump's major flaw was, is he emotionally reacted, got angry, got pissed off, which I get it. If I was in a situation and I thought the same thing too, I'd feel the same way. And now because of that, he is a leader. So what your people do, what your people see is what they will do. So they saw him get emotional. So they got emotional. So instead of logically thinking, all right, let's take a step back. How are we going to fight this? And how are we going to convince the American people to stand up for this in a way where if there is actual evil going on, that the other side goes, whoa, they're united and they're serious and they're smart. Man, we don't know what to do. That didn't happen. Instead, it emotionally drove the people who were emotionally influenced by emotions, to want to start protesting, to want to start going into the Capitol. And the challenge with that is we all get it. After the Black Lives Matter, during the Black Lives Matter rallies, that was emotionally driven. There was images fueled by the media of George Floyd dying and just playing it over and over and over and over again. How dare he do this? How dare he do this? How dare he do this? That people were emotionally influenced and caused billions of dollars worth of damages to businesses, to people who might have agreed with, man, this is bad, but it didn't matter. People were so emotionally driven that they caused billions of dollars worth of damages. So when it comes to protesting, I think you have to lean more, because it's an emotional thing. I think you have to lean more to the logistical side, because you're only going to be able to influence emotional people. And the challenge with that is under a court of law, it's all logic. All of it's logic.
Well, when was anything ever changed with the protest? Like, I guess maybe Martin Luther King and everything, when that all happened, right?
What do you mean changed?
Like, I remember being in West Hartford, Connecticut, or no, Manchester, Connecticut, in real estate investments, and they were holding a Black Lives Matter rally. I went up to them, and I'm with you. I do think there is certain things that can be reformed and rechanged in better ways. I get why people get mad. Okay, you see something bad, it's not right, you want to make it better. I'm with you. However, I remember thinking, what a waste of time. You're sitting out there in the rain with cardboard signs on everything because you're upset. Like, go write a law. Go to write to a congressman. Go run for Congress, right? Go be part of the situation, because like the congressmen people I don't think they care like that people are out there. They're up in their.
I agree. And I think the old idea of a protest, the romanticized idea, had inspiration and power behind it. Meaning, if I united a bunch of people where when you were looking down the street, you saw thousands of people all united, marching and saying, this is what we stand against, and we're here, and we're not going to stop. That was emotionally impacting, for the other side was going, wow, they've got a lot of people, and they're willing to stand for what they believe in. And I think that was something that was a romanticized idea that a lot of people believed in. The challenge with it is most people just wanted to complain and not really do anything about it. And I think it turned into, instead of protesting, it turned into anger. It's very hard when you lose, or when you feel like you're losing, to control your emotions through a scenario in order to influence the other person. I know you know this as well. Whenever I start to get frustrated, or whenever I start to get angry, I have to be like, I need to pull my emotions back. Otherwise, this person is going to discredit me as somebody crazy because I'm being emotional right now.
Which is why when Trump would get mad and go into emotions, people say his temperament's wrong. I can see why, because he'd get upset. But most people get upset, resonant with him. Like, no, I get why he's upset on certain things, right?
He sparked the fire in people. Absolutely. Yeah.
But the one thing I want to say is, like, we're in the 21st century, right? It's 2023. You can do way more than holding a sign, and I guess they can ban it and shadow ban it. But like Instagram did the whole black square, and that thing took off for a while. Like, that's almost like the same movement, right? Than doing it. One of the guys I'm getting on a call with tomorrow, who I told you I booked a call with him, he was there outside Mar-a-Lago. He showed me his Instagram. He's, go look at me. I'm there with the Donald on there. And he goes, he's with Jesse Itzler. He goes biking for a while. And then he said, I was on the one at Mar-a-Lago holding up a sign. There's a sign that says CNN fake news, right? And he was at Mar-a-Lago. And it was cool. I liked it. I was like, oh, good for him. Guy's a very successful multi-millionaire. And he's out there. He has a whole bunch of horses. He's a bike rider. And he's out there holding his sign, Which to me, I get. Like, I guess that's, like, then I'm like, oh man, I wish I was there,
So Vivek just posted something. I want to read it because I think it's pretty interesting. on what he's saying. So he just tweeted this out.
Oh, I love doing this breaking because this is stuff I'd be watching normally by myself. I'd be going up and looking at what he said. So go ahead.
So Vivek says, this is what an actual attack on democracy looks like. Sorry, I'm not going to read it in his voice. In an un-American, unconstitutional, and unprecedented decision, a cabal of Democrat judges are barring Trump from the ballot in Colorado. Having tried every trick in the book to eliminate President Trump from running in this election, the bipartisan establishment is now deploying a new tactic to bar him from ever holding office again, the 14th Amendment. I pledge to withdraw from the Colorado GOP primary unless Trump is also allowed to be on the state's ballot. And I demand that Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie, and Nikki Haley do the same immediately, or else they are tactically endorsing this illegal maneuver, which will have disastrous consequences for our country.
Wow.
Today's decision is the latest election interference tactic to silence the political opponents and swing the election for whatever the puppet Democrats put up this time by depriving Americans of the right to vote for their candidate of choice. The 14th Amendment was part of the Reconstruction Amendments that were ratified following the Civil War. It was passed to prohibit former Confederate military and political leaders from holding high federal or state office. These men had clearly taken part in a rebellion against the United States, the Civil War. That makes it all the more absurd that a left-wing group in Colorado is asking a federal court to disqualify the 45th president of this on the same grounds, equating his speech to rebellion against the United States. And there's another legal problem. Trump is not a former officer of the United States, as that term is used in the Constitution, meaning Section 3 does not apply. As the Supreme Court explained in Free Enterprise Fund versus Public Economy Accounting Oversight Board 2010, an officer of the United States is someone appointed by the president to aid him in his duties under Article 2, Section 2. The term does not apply to elected officials and certainly not to the president himself. The framers of the 14th Amendment would be appalled to see this narrow provision intended to bar former U.S. officials who switched to the Confederacy from seeking public office being weaponized by a sitting president and his political allies to prevent a former president from seeking re-election. Our country is becoming unrecognizable to our founding fathers. Wow. How eloquently put. And that's not a surprise from Vivek.
Yeah.
Basically, he just called Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, and Chris Christie to withdraw from the Colorado ballot if Trump is not on it. And that's the integral thing to do. Do you think they're going to do it?
I think Ron DeSantis might actually.
His whole thing right now is he is strongly, vehemently against Trump. Why does he come out and debate us? And remember, Trump is attacking him.
Wow.
So we are in, and this is part of the Republicans' issue is they don't know how to win. They just don't. They just know how to shoot themselves in the foot. It's like, this is the way I say this.
Vivek's live on Twitter right now. So are we. We're right next to him. Look, there's Vivek. You're right next to him right here.
Fantastic. That's right.
Which, by the way, they're going to be paying a whole bunch of people to go on Twitter Spaces to get it like big. That's like the new thing.
So, by the way, guys, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Give us a like. We are spreading the message of leadership and branding within this world with current events, with business, with media. We want to say what is going on and give our interpretation of it when it comes to leadership, when it comes to marketing, because those are two things that we are passionate about. So realistically, the way I see this happening right now, or this change happening, is I'm thinking, because in order for this to, I can share it on here.
No, it's from Twitter Spaces. It's Mario's Space.
I see. So 2024 is going to be the year of chaos, man, because imagine, so you've got people rejoicing on the left right now. Oh my God, Trump on the ballot, right?
So you get what, 83 million?
So those people are excited right now. And now they're going to be pissed if the Supreme Court overturns this. And they're going to say, oh my God, the Republicans are colluding again. This is a challenge. This is a challenge for America. How do we get through this? How do we get unified? How do we come together? And I think really it's that age-old corny story, but I think it's accurate, is there's red ants and black ants in a jar. And they're fine. They're just walking around the jar, just minding each other's business. And then someone comes along and shakes the jar. And then the red ants and the black ants start fighting and start beating each other up, thinking each other's the enemy, without asking themselves who shook the jar. What's happening is in America, the red ants, the black ants, the red, the blue, there's somebody shaking the jar. There are people who are shaking the jar for their own professional and personal gain. Whether that is some diabolical reason, who knows? But there are people who are shaking the jar. There are people who are saying, oh my God, can you believe what those Republicans are doing? Can you believe what those Democrats are doing? And it's causing people to be stirred up emotionally, and we're turning on each other. And I think the only way for us to come together is for us to realize what we have in common and share that and focus on that as opposed to what we don't have.
And I'll say this. I think the one thing that America has in common, and I think this does bring it out to, and is that we were founded on a godly country. We do believe in God. We are accountable to something better, for more to be morality, to accept something. And as soon as we walk away from that, that's when this happens, right? Any of the things that happen are when ungodly people make decisions, when people who don't hold to a higher power or higher things. So I think the best thing is to come back to God and really kind of check yourself on where it is and hold to a higher thing than just your own political party, whether you're right, your own agenda, and I think that's what a lot of stuff happens, right? And I think a lot of the people who are shaking the jar, the George Soros's, the World Economic Forum, right, who are trying, there's definitely another vibe as we sit here in America free today to speak whatever we want, but might not be. I'm glad we did this show, because we might not be able to do a show like this 5 years, maybe even a year from now, maybe even this year in 2024. This might not be available. Cyber attack, we'll be deemed terrorists. I think Vinny was talking about on there, right? Because we're spreading wrong information, right? If they want to do that, they can just write a law,
The nice thing about America and how it was founded, our founding forefathers, although they were young, they thought of a lot. So in order for them to do that, there's got to be a lot of corruption. And I think the corruption right now is rampant. So to be honest, I think that's just, it's a reality. I don't know. I don't know what this year holds. But I do know that we would be better off finding what we have in common and finding common ground with the person that, whoever's watching this, I implore you, I encourage you, the person that you disagree with, try to switch the conversation to find something that you agree on and give that 100%. Because too many times we're making people out to be our enemies when really we're all dirt in the end. We all die and we all will be returned to the dirt. We're all dust. We're all dirt in the end. Why be angry to the person who's going to be laying alongside you one day for the rest of eternity?
Yeah, and dude, I don't hate anybody on the left, or anything like that. And I don't hate people that are far right in that way. I understand where they're coming from, and I believe they want like Bill Maher, I believe he still doesn't want the worst for America. Maybe I don't agree with him, but if he's on here, I get where he comes from. AOC, right? Alexander Cortez, right? Ortiz. Even her, I get it. She's politically charged. I think she likes, I think her and Candace Owens are very similar. I think they both are very charged with their own little mission to get attention. It's the young culture in political form. You know what I mean? And they hold the politics, to wiggle their way on it. And the way I see it is just there's certain things that have facts, and you got to stay on facts. But they're really trying to dilute facts now, more so than ever. They used to be able to come out of facts over feelings.
I think we are in the beginning of chaos. So call it right now. What's today's date? Today is December 19th. We've just opened the door to chaos right now. And I don't know what it looks like. Part of me is a little excited. Part of me is a little scared. But I know we should do more of this, because who knows when we're going to be able to do this.
Yeah, that's why when you asked me if you wanted to do the show, I was like, when this came, I felt like it was a threat on our freedom. And I'm like, man, we're finally on X, we're on YouTube, we're on all these platforms. Because of X, it's challenged YouTube's hand where we have to do stuff. Let's while Alex Jones, Andrew Tate's back, let's be back right now. You know what I mean? Let's at least say, hey, we were in there when I'll be able to tell my kids if I ever get married, you'll be able to tell I don't know if you want to talk. Like now I'm almost like to protect. I think you talked, you have a little one, but like now I'm thinking like Andrew Tate,
Yeah, I mean, think about it this way. I have a son. I love my son, and I post something on here and they decide they don't like it. Who's to say that they don't try and take my son away from me to say I'm an unfit parent? Right? And by the way, that's real. So if they're going to do that, why can't we go to the government and say, you guys are being unfit for us? Because it's we the people. And the government should be afraid of the people.
By the way, it makes me so mad that I can't do anything. I feel helpless. That's why I put future president. I've had multiple people say, like hundreds of people say, we'll vote for you for president. And I don't think I'm anywhere near qualified at all. And I'll say that right now where I'm at. If ever that comes to the time, and I know on Joyce get mad at dad likes it, but then gets mad like, no. But after watching Vivek, how he communicates, and I did it more so I would start leading my life as a business owner now in a way where if I ever want to sell my business to run for president like Vivek did, I could punch it in that way. I want to have it on the table, that was it. Just out there, yes, it's an ego thing. I give you all that. However, if they do not let Trump run and they don't let Vivek run, and I can get 5,000 support, and we can go from this podcast right now where I get a $5,000 donation and raise the money and be able to run for president of the United States on ballots, just like Kanye West was able to at a late time, and I can actually take action, make that done today, then I'm willing to say that I will run for president of the United States in 2024 because I don't think I have a chance in 2028. And just like Vivek said, the reason why I would say that even now it's not even a political thing. It's saying I don't like anybody else out there. I like Trump. I like Vivek, but I don't like anybody else. I don't trust anybody else except for I trust that I genuinely, and I think I could actually bring people together. And I think I can actually talk to, I've always been able to tell a good story, build a good offer, and make connections. And I think that's what America needs on all forms.
You heard it here first, people. Jeff J. Cunningham, future president. I hear you. I think this chaos is going to inspire more people who are men who have masculine energy to stand up and to want to become leaders. I think we need to be better leaders. I think this implores any of us to become the strongest leaders because we have no idea what's going to happen right now. Yeah, I agree. So anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, it's been 54 minutes. I didn't even know it was on that point. I said, hey, let's just come on. Let's do the Trump story. We touched on Jeffrey Epstein. Next, I do think I want to cover. Oh, you said you want to say something about choose your enemies wisely?
Yeah. So we'll make this a full hour. Next 5 minutes. So in choose your enemies wisely, there is emotion and logic. And Patrick Bet-David does a great way of talking about people writing business plans, and whoever writes a business plan that's strictly emotional they won't have the wherewithal on where to go. And people who write strictly logical, they won't have the emotional impact to keep going. So what I think would be a fun little exercise is to self-evaluate, you and myself, to self-evaluate each other and ourselves on what do we believe. Are we more emotional or are we more logical? So having said that, what do you believe?
No, so it's funny on my, and this is a total plug here, on my inner circle call, which we're revamping up in 2024 that I did at 6 to 7 o'clock on Tuesday nights. That's me marketing it. But on that, guess what we did? We went over, remember the business plan, I talked about how it's too emotional and I have to be more logical in my numbers. I have to look at my business plan every quarter and not just make it a wish list and then just have every time a girl breaks my heart, be like, well, I'll go be the richest man in the world. Like it's kind of getting old if I don't have a plan in concrete logic. Like, okay, well, how? Like, okay, better than Bezos, but how? Right? So yeah, I might get this concrete deal, might get green hydrogen, but that's all a wish list, right? It might happen. I might do the thing, but it's all that. It's not calculated, right? What's calculated now is what I can do to how many people I need to bring on Change Life Consulting to exit the firm in 3 years. I do have a rough number on that. That's not as much a thing, but that takes a lot of sales, you know?
So what do you think if you had to rate it, let's say you're 50% emotional and 50% logical, where would you put the ratio?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I'd be like 20% logical, 80% emotional. I think that's pretty fair. So yeah, I mean, give or take. I don't know. What do you think? You know me better than I know me, probably.
I agree. I think that's a really good self-assessment. I would agree. I think that's with you.
And I'm saying that like it's not good. I don't think that's presidential. I don't think that's healthy enough to make. I think you got to make sound decisions, and you know that might explain why my business is so in flux sometimes. You know.
So when I was an assistant manager, I had a general manager above me. My general manager was very focused on numbers. And for me, I was very focused on getting the people to do what I needed them to do. But by being able to do that is having conversations with them and emotionally impacting them. And I was very emotionally driven on connecting with the people, and I did a really good job at that. And then when I was given my own business, I was still doing the same thing. And then I realized one thing. They were going to fire me quick because whoever was looking at my numbers from 60 levels up is saying, hey, that guy isn't pushing the needle forward. And he didn't care about emotions. He cared about logic and data. So I figured out through a painful way that I've got to temper my emotions down. And I need to make sure that I am more logical. So I became obsessed with numbers and became obsessed with data. So I would say right now I'm about 60% emotional and 40% logical. I do definitely have an emotional side to me. I think it used to be about a 75, close to 80%, maybe about 70 to 75%. But once I realized the realization of being logical, that I started to fall in love with the numbers and the data, because I realized there are people who are strictly data. And I could tell them a story about how I moved a bunch of people to become number one, and that person would be like, I don't give a shit. Did you drop any profit down to the bottom line? And there's people out there that exist. And I realized, oh man, that in order for me to keep my job, I have to become logical and I have to look at data. And that's when I was like, all right, let me track numbers. To this day, working in the real estate industry, for me, it's like I create my own hours, but I was like, man, if I don't track the data, if I don't track my own data, where am I going to be? So for me, I track the data. That's not emotionally driven. It's just me looking at the data. I'm like, all right, did I hit these numbers? And I think really what's important is to be able to integrate the two. Honestly, I think I would benefit from being a little bit more emotional at times, because I think sometimes I can be just strictly logical. And I think I lost my little, emotional passion. But I think for all of us, we should strive to be a little bit of both and kind of flirt with both worlds.
No, I agree. I just got a text from a guy. I don't know if I should read it on the air.
That's up to you.
Yeah, I'll read it. I won't put his name in there. So I pedaled from Aventura today, which you were at Aventura with me.
Yep.
Where I live, West Palm Beach. I still have not been there, which is far. We can look up how far it is. I came across some lady who was lying in the middle of the street that had just gotten robbed. The punk apparently slammed her to the ground. I didn't see it happen, but it was good to stop and help her. I stayed with her until she got herself together. I got the whole event on video. It was good to help another human that was being in distress.
Oof.
So I'm going to get a call with this guy tomorrow. This guy's a multi-millionaire, very successful guy, and he owns he does biking. He reminds me of a Jesse Itzler.
Oh, cool. Nice. All right. We're going to wrap it up. This was a quick and short one, guys. I think what we learned from today is that we need to be the best leaders we can possibly be because we have no idea what chaos is coming. Who knows what we're going to have to do to lead our families, to lead our towns, our cities, our states, maybe even our country, because there's chaos coming right now. They're trying to prevent somebody who was a president, and they're trying to kick him out. And I don't know what that looks like for America right now. I think it's going to cause great chaos. Jeff, anything to say before we get going?
No, just I wanted to give a shout out to joshlewisleadership.com. I wouldn't have impact and hired the everything we is with everything you got going on. And shout out to you, man, setting this all up, get to do this, get on Restream, being on Twitter, setting up. I know how much work it is in there and going out and forking it and really go into it. And I also do want to say anybody who's listening to this, and if you've gotten this far, we have a sponsorship deck. We'll send out sponsors. We're going to do live sponsors and take ones that we'll kind of vote on and make sure they're ones that work. I don't know if we'll use Manscaped like George Janko, but we'll get one of them,
All right. Yeah, we'll find some good sponsorships. And if you guys want to be a sponsor, send us a DM, me at Josh Lewis Growth, Jeff at Jeff the Entrepreneur, and we will consider it. Guys, be great, be leaders. You have no idea how powerful you are, my friends. Be great, guys.